Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Marshall County Board of Supervisors meeting, regular session, Wednesday, October 11th, 2023, here in the courthouse first room meeting room. Notice to the public, the Board of Supervisors welcomes comments from the public during the time allowed for discussion. You are requested to approach the podium and use the microphone, state your name and address for the record, and limit the time used to present your remarks in order that others may be given the opportunity to speak. The normal process on any agenda item is for the chair to read the item from the agenda. The board's given the opportunity to comment on the issue and or place a motion on the floor. An opportunity for discussion may be presented, at which time the public may participate, and a roll call will follow. Roll call for presence today, please.
Hibbs.
Here.
Slosik.
Here.
Heil.
Here. All right, thank you. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. May I have a motion to approve today's agenda?
I would make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Hibbs.
Aye.
Slosik.
Yes.
Heil.
Yes. Number 5, proclamation of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Marshall County. We have a proclamation today that I will read for you all. It's the proclamation of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Marshall County, whereas home should be the place of warmth, unconditional love, tranquility, and security, and for the most of us, home and family can indeed be counted among our greatest blessings. Tragically, for many Americans, these are blessings that are tarnished by violence and fear. Whereas every 9 seconds, a woman in the United States is assaulted by an intimate partner, whereas 1 in 3 teenagers, 1 in every 4 women, and 1 in every 6 men will experience domestic violence during their lifetime, whereas an average of 3 women are murdered by intimate partners in the United States every day, and a person experiencing strangulation in a relationship is 7 times more likely to be murdered by their partner. And according to the American Psychological Association, the presence of a gun in domestic violence situations increases the risk of homicide by 500%. According to the Bureau of Justice Statistics Crime Data Brief, intimate partner violence, women accounted for 85% and men accounted for 15% of survivors of intimate partner violence, whereas women and men are not the only targets. Children, the elderly, family pets, and responding law enforcement officers are counted among the survivors. According to a study by Break the Silence, witnessing violence is the strongest risk factor in transmitting violent behavior from one generation to the next. According to the National Resource Center on Domestic Violence, approximately 23% of LGBTQ men and 50% of LGBTQ women experience abuse at the hands of their intimate partners. Domestic violence costs an estimated $8.3 billion annually in medical care, mental health services, and lost productivity on the job. Women and men and children living with domestic violence suffers higher rates of physical injuries, chronic health problems, depression, PTSD, attempted suicide, substance abuse, behavior problems for children, and homelessness. Whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal barriers, and is sustained by societal indifference. Whereas survivors of violence should have access to medical and legal services, counseling, sheltering, transitional housing, and other supportive services so they can escape the cycle of abuse. Whereas we as a county encourage survivors and their families to seek assistance from appropriate survivor services organizations, including Access, Luna, and other local programs and state coalitions. Whereas the Iowa Domestic Violence Helpline is 1-800-770-1650, and the Access Crisis Hotline is 1-855-983-4641. Whereas it is important to recognize the importance of the compassion and dedication of individuals who serve survivors of domestic violence and their families, including local programs, state coalitions, national organizations, criminal and juvenile justice agencies, healthcare providers, law enforcement, allied professionals, and survivor agents services organizations. Whereas our community must make ending domestic violence a priority. Now therefore it be resolved that the Marshall County Board of Supervisors proclaims the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Marshall County and urge our citizens to observe this month by becoming aware of the tragedy of domestic violence and supporting those who are working towards its end. Dated on this day, the 11th day of October, 2023. These statistics are obviously very sobering, and they're very concerning. That's what happens in our society. It's a good reminder to know that this is a reality that's out there. I think a lot of times we put our heads in the sand, don't want to think of these things that happen, of domestic violence. And so I think it's important that we do have this proclamation today. I also want to thank all of our law enforcement, all of our county attorney's office, all of our agencies that assist people in taking care of these many survivors and their families due to these tragedies that do occur. And so thank you to all of our folks in Marshall County that do that. Do we have any other comment from the attorney's office or anyone else today on this? We'd love to hear your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Jordan Gaffney, Marshall County Attorney. I think the data in the proclamation speaks for itself. The impact of domestic violence on our country and our community is astounding. And we would just urge survivors and those who are suffering from domestic violence, to reach out to our office, reach out to law enforcement, reach out to Lunar Access. There are people ready to help you and willing to help you. Just reach out and take that first step. Thanks.
Thank you, Jordan. Any other comment?
I'll make a motion that, motion? Or yes, motion.
It seems like we usually do.
Yeah, I think we normally do,
Yeah.
but there's
Yeah.
not one on here.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion that we proclaim October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Marshall County.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Slosik,
Yes.
Heil.
Yes. Thank you for that. On to number 6, program update from David Hicks, Director of Community Engagement at YSS of Marshall County.
Good morning, David Hicks, Director of YSS of Marshall County. Certainly want to echo those sentiments Jordan discussed. Certainly at YSS, we see our fair share of domestic violence concerns, but we also see other controlling issues such as economic control, just how it ties in with financial control of trapping somebody. So we see that a lot threaded through the cases that we see. So 2023, as we kind of wrap up this year, looking into next, we celebrate our 40th anniversary of providing services in Marshalltown. County Funding Board of Supervisors has been our first and longest funder through the 40 years of services. And as nonprofits go, funding comes, funding goes, and we've always been appreciative of your efforts through those 40 years. We've certainly seen a lot. So just a reminder, we have a contract for $11,000 with the county. We use $8,000 to support some walk-ins that we receive throughout the year, and we just bill that quarterly in $2,000 increments. And then we have $3,000 through a unit of service that covers uninsured, supporting our sliding fee scale for people coming in for short-term counseling and things like that. So I included my report. We're seeing just some young people that we're providing in-home services for through Medicaid, and there's been some Medicaid changes. So if they're going from AmeriGroup to another provider, there's often a gap in getting those behavioral health services authorized. So the county funds have supplemented our time going into homes and seeing people. So we aren't waiting for funding to kick in, and the family just kind of is having to wait for authorization from AmeriGroup or what have you. So very appreciative of the services that our other counterparts provide here in Marshalltown. I also have noted some of the issues that we've had, problem areas. So we work with the Bridge Home. They're also a great agency in providing housing services, but I noted in the report that we are seeing people in the counties living in parks, living in, without constant place to live in areas not meant for habitation in the county parks and other communities as well. So we try to engage a lot of those folks, but again, kind of hard to house folks. You know, Bridge Home does the best they can. We've had to utilize some creative resources in other programs to help maybe house some of those people, certainly not with county dollars, but just letting you know what goes on in some of those small towns where there's often a hidden homeless problem. So any questions for me or for YSS?
David, one of the things we talked about when considering funding with YSS was the success of the impact program in Marshalltown, and wondering about accessing that through our law enforcement in the county as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. We are working on some discussion points. Jordan and myself and our impact team have talked, how can we roll this out to a county level? The numbers we're seeing on the city level, we've already seen more people through September than we did all of last year. So the needs within the city are increasing, and we're just meeting those needs. We realize there's needs out in the county as well. Impact is still kind of a work in progress. We don't know how we would roll that out to the county, but we have a plan in place where we think we could do that. It's just the money and how that operates. And when we first started Impact, we had people coming to us saying, you know, we want to help support you. So, you know, we had CICS come forward with a purchase of a vehicle. So we would need to look at how we would roll out services needing a vehicle in the county space as well, and just the coverage area,
Right.
much, much bigger. Impact has certainly made an impact, and that's pun intended. We realize there's needs out in the counties and small communities have the same needs as people here in town. So want to continue that discussion. Would welcome any input or comments you all might have.
Do you have
that
any
might happen.
thoughts on what might be driving the increase that you saw in September in Marshalltown for the need?
And that's cumulative through September, January through
Oh.
September,
Okay.
exceeding all
Oh,
of
I
last
see.
year's
Okay.
numbers. Kids aren't in school summer. Sometimes parents just let kids kind of run amok, and then when school starts, you try and corral them back in. And just kind of getting into that routine causes a lot of strife in people's homes. So we see a lot of family conflict, but the number one issue we are seeing is homelessness, followed by mental health, family conflict, substance abuse, domestic violence as well. And a lot of times it's just two sides of the same coin. Same issues in the homes that we're going to see in Marshalltown, we're going to see in Laurel and elsewhere. Love to continue the discussion of what needs aren't being fulfilled by other agencies funded by the county. We've had kind of similar funding for well, I've been at YSS 28 years. That's always kind of been our model as far as county funding, but we are seeing potentially other needs. We certainly would welcome a discussion with you all of what YSS can do to fill those gaps that no one else is covering.
Perfect. Any other questions?
Your statistics are just sobering. I
Yeah.
can't believe that.
Yeah, we've got a really good, robust data tracking system, but when we compare it to other national co-responder programs, I want to steal their ideas and bring it to what we do, because they have apps and ongoing data, and the public can pull up a screenshot of impact or whatever. Co-responders had 15 interventions today, kept 3 people out of jail. That equates to so many dollars saved. There's so much growth with this that we're still in its infancy. But it's very much a learning process of meeting what the community needs and eventually meeting what we think the county might need as well.
Great.
Thank you for the work you're doing.
Thank you for supporting our work.
Yes, thank you. It's unfortunate that there's a need for it, but we're glad to have great people like
Yeah.
you in place and doing the job you do.
Yeah, appreciate you all as well.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Concludes the program update. And the first quarter report is submitted. On to number 7, the consent agenda. 7A, approve minutes from September 27, 2023, regular session. Approve September claims listing to be published with October 11, 2023 minutes. 7C, approve claims as audited. 7D, file manure management plans. And it is Applegate GLID 59073 at 2845 Garwin Road, Marshtown, with no changes. And several personal changes today, including approved status change for Sarah Badger from Auditor Recorder Assistant, Vitals DNR election, rate of pay at $21.75 to Auditor Recorder Assistant Real Estate Lead, rate of pay $23.75 per hour, effective date on or after October 12th, 2023. November 7, 2023, city school election hires, higher precinct election officials, elections, rate of pay $10 an hour, effective November 7th, 2023 only. All polling locations and higher precinct election official chairs, election rate of pay $12 per hour, effective November 7th only at all polling locations, and hire up to 8 additional full-time equivalent people, election absentee voting worker, rate of pay $10 an hour, effective October 16 through November 14th, 2023. Hire election special precinct board up to 12 people, elections rate of pay $10 an hour, effective November 6th through November 14th, 2023. Hire Carol Slifer election office staff on or after October 16, 2023 to $15 an hour. I think that is, would that be through November 14th?
Correct.
Through November 14th at $15 an hour. And hire Phyllis Egabrod elections office staff on or after October 16th, 2023 through November 14th, 2023 at $13 an hour. On to Marshall County Attorney's Office Collection Coordinator, new hire collections coordinator, Juana Oliveros Alcantar, pay $53,500 annually on or after October 16th, 2023. And that is the end of our consent agenda. Do we have any discussion, comments on any of those hires?
How much longer can we hire our voter workers for $10 an hour?
I'm thinking we'll probably adjust again. We were at 9 and 11 2 years ago.
We-
It's a volunteer job with some fun money. Carol Slifer is actually, stays on payroll and helps periodically, but I just think it provides that transparency showing her. So her and Phyllis are real, what I'm gonna say is a little bit more back office piece, so that we can keep staff here in the courthouse as well. So they kind of do the back office work down at the election center.
It's good to have it
And
on.
have been for 4 years? Phyllis is 4 years, Carol is a long time. That was long before I came, so.
It's nice to have that on the agenda, just so everyone does know all the workers that do go into making your elections run smoothly.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that for both Jordan and I, the people that are on here, these are replacements. So, in budget, replacements.
Excellent. Any other comment? Hearing none, I'll entertain motions on the consent agenda today.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Slosik,
Yes.
Heil.
Yes. All right, number 8, holiday stroll, the MCBD, request discussion prior to the submission of the applications for this coming event.
Do you mind if we both come up?
Yes, please
Okay.
do.
All right.
Please do.
So I'm Deb Millizer, I'm the director of the Marshalltown Central Business District, and this is Alicia Fitzgerald. She is head of the promotions in downtown. Holiday Stroll, Be Ridiculous Day, Hunt the Block. So she is really a go-to person, so the stroll wouldn't be what it is without Alicia, so let me say that publicly, and I truly mean that. So thanks for allowing us to come today and to have this discussion. This is our first time to be here, so if we break any kind of protocol or something, just go ahead and slap us. It's okay. It's okay. We'll learn quickly. So traditionally in the past, okay, first of all, let me back up a little bit. As you know, the prior to the tornado, the courthouse was beautifully decorated. We had all those beautiful trees, and the Fraternal Order of Police came in and they set trees and some metal brackets that were in the ground. And for the last 5 years, we have not been able to decorate the courthouse lawn. And last year in 2023, we were fortunate enough to be able to have Top Notch come in and put in a big lighted tree on the courthouse lawn, which we really appreciated. And we know that I think we probably stressed Lucas out by asking him repeatedly, and then him coming to other people and asking repeatedly. But it was important to us to celebrate the holiday season, lights, things like that. I mean, I could talk all day about it, but those sorts of things, when the season come around, are really important to, quality of life, celebrating, making downtown a place to be, all of those sorts of things. And we know that this year is the first year that the fence has been down, and we are super excited about that. Moving forward, beyond the holiday stroll, as a director, and Alusha, I'm speaking a lot for you, so as a promotions chair, we are excited in the future to be able to utilize the beautiful courthouse lawn and all of that. I have not got to do that since I've been the director, and I'm looking forward to it. However, why we're here today is twofold. We are wondering, does the courthouse have plans to decorate the lawn or the courthouse during the holiday season? It is the center of our community, and everybody loves our courthouse. And then our other question is, if you are or aren't, if we would be able to erect our tree again on the courthouse lawn. And I threw a lot out there, but.
Lucas, do we have a plan for doing
we have a
anything?
plan?
There's no current plan.
Okay.
Deb, can you talk a little bit about what would be happening around the courthouse? Do you have plans solidified for that yet?
We do, if you don't mind. Go ahead. So we always have a carriage ride route, and now that the fencing is down, the carriage ride route will go all the way around the courthouse. They station right in front on Main Street for inload and offload, so that goes all the way around. There will also, hopefully, we'll have 2 food trucks over here on First. It's Appleberry Farms and Dave's Mini Donuts. So that will draw, hopefully, crowds of people with their food as well. And then the parade route does come down Main Street. It stops typically here in front with Santa, who then in the past used to light up everything on the courthouse lawn. Now he just sort of stops with the tree added. Last year he lit that tree up, but it's sort of like a start to the festivities for the stroll.
Okay. So we'll have carriage rides all the way around.
Correct.
Yeah, that'll be nice to have that back. Lucas, do you have response or questions?
Yeah, sure. Excuse me. Lucas, Badke Buildings and Grounds. So in the past, we have kind of worked together with this group and the Fraternal Order of the Police on doing some sort of lighted display on the courthouse grounds. And previously, there were some sleeves that were put in the yard that you would put in kind of PVC trees or whatever kind of decorations at that point. So our conversation was, how far do we want to go with that? How far is the county comfortable with that being a thing for however long it's requested? So I think that's, in my mind, that's what I would like to see at least answered or presented, however that looks.
What would the time frame be?
For the tree itself, our understanding is the Fraternal Order of Police have gotten rid of all of their lights. So I know that is not an option for the courthouse lawn. That's our understanding. For our lit tree, we would like to have lit up the night of the holiday stroll, which is November 18th. They would have to erect it sometime in the week before, depending on weather. And then we would love for it to stay up until the end of the year if it was possible. Just because that's through the holiday season. It's beautiful. It's a point of interest. There was tons of people that took pictures of it last year, even in front of even with the fence protecting it. There were a lot of photos, and so yeah, and it is part of the tradition with Santa Claus. But we're just asking for a short period of time, 6 weeks or so.
Personally, I'm much more inclined to something less long entirely. I am a person that I love Christmas. I like decorating for Christmas, but I also look at it during the day and I'm like, it looks great at night, but not so much during the day. That's kind of my opinion on it. You know, we do have the centerpiece of Marshalltown, and it needs to look nice a lot of the times, but I'm more inclined to get on board with, you know, kind of a single larger thing. I know we had some issues last year where we had some wild wind and it didn't last very long. As always, my bigger concern is how do we impact the grounds long term, you know, because if there's something, we're looking at 20, 30 feet tall, we need larger equipment. Now we're driving across the yard. The yard should be seeded later this week, early next week. So there's concerns on the impact there. Yes.
Yeah, I wondered about the seating.
Yeah, and it's not even so much the seating, it's the prep work to the yard is now like everything's kind of soft on top, and driving something heavy across it is gonna rut it really bad. If we can come up with a way to where equipment stays on the concrete, that's better. And, you know, how big is it and how much does it weigh and how do we move it around? There's some questions there. So I guess my question for these guys would be like, what's your proposal? Where would you like to put it? And that's helpful. And you know, the time frame, I'm not overly concerned about that. So
I would say, do you want me to?
Yep.
So I would say that we would obviously like to have it on the Main Street side of the courthouse. We are open to where you would like it located. We don't have it has to be here. Our interest is providing something for the community. I don't think anybody is gonna say, oh, it should have been, well, they might, but it won't be that big of a deal. It should have been over here in this specific spot or whatever. We just wanna add something to the courthouse lawn, something that adds to the festivities, adds to the joy of the season. When we did a Main Street market analysis survey study this last summer, and the results are coming out, you know, places to be, placemaking, all of that is very important. And one of the things that came back over and over again, this is a small piece of it, but was festival lighting, that sort of thing. And this is a small piece, and we need to go bigger. So we are completely open about where the location is. We would just like it on the Main Street side, somewhere towards the middle, because that's where Santa Claus gets off and he goes over and plugs it in and everybody goes, yay! You know, all of that. So, and it's beautiful to have the courthouse as the backdrop for that. So we are completely open. We do rely on Jeremy Atkins to put it up. He did sponsor the tree last year along with us and in the chamber, and what was the name of the metal company?
It leaves me.
Yeah, it leaves me too, but they all coordinated together to create this tree, and it was not a cheap project. And so I would really love to be able to utilize it again and not have it just sit in storage or put up somewhere else.
So I have two questions, and I don't know if you guys have questions. I just have two that are coming to mind right now.
Okay.
Is it too big to fit in the concrete area? Can it fit in the concrete area? And can it be dressed up a little more for the daytime hours when
I don't know how we would dress it. I'll address that first. I think it probably would, talk about the concrete circle. I think it probably would fit there or be pretty close to fitting there. I don't have the exact dimensions on the tree. I think it would probably fit there. It has crossed my mind that would be
what's this width?
a good place for that to be. As far as dressing it up during the day, I don't know how we would do that because it's literally lights. It's
Right.
literally made out
Just
of
lights.
lights. So I don't know how else. My mind is not creative to go beyond its lights. And it's on a pole
Yeah.
and,
So
comes
no
down.
garland with the lights or anything like that.
I don't know how we would
Yeah, okay.
do that. I don't know how we would do that.
I'm not the person to ask, so.
We could possibly work with Top Notch to see if it's a possibility for it to be altered, so that it could possibly have some more decoration elements, so that it is more visible during the day. But it truly will depend on how the structure is put together.
Yeah, wind loads, when you start getting really tall stuff and put extra wind loads, gets a little scary. I will say, James, if you go back to the top view, our power is a little limited to here and here-ish. So if we're straying kind of too far from those areas, we're looking at longer extension cords that, any little kid can come by and mess with.
You sound like the Grinch here.
Is that how it's coming across?
That's how it's coming across here, yeah. Yeah,
Wait till I start adding something in,
Because
Steve,
I've
then.
experienced them.
okay. You don't want anything driven on the grass
I
or the
would
dirt
like to
areas, do you?
avoid driving on the grass this year.
Get soil compaction.
I would
What is
like
our-
I would like the winter compaction to happen.
What will our concrete stand? Can we drive a 5,000-pound vehicle on a concrete? Okay.
Yeah, we drive our
Okay.
skid loader across it, it's probably 6,500 pounds.
So, a machine that reaches out with a long arm
Yeah, they.
could stay on the
so
concrete and go out
historically, they have
40
like
feet.
A big bucket truck with outriggers on it, and those get pretty heavy. The driveway on the east side here, this section kind of up to the corner of the building is reinforced really well because we use the band shell here. When you get up around the corner more, it's not as densely constructed, so it'd probably hold up. Probably. I guess my feeling would be kind of more from the street side and try and get it in these front quadrants, and then we're closer to the power. And then, the sidewalks on the perimeter of the building aren't new. If we crack those, I'm not gonna be so sad about it.
And I would say that probably, that it may actually be easier to put it on the grass section. And I know that we don't want to mess with the seating or anything, but it does have to be anchored in some way that, can be pulled back up so that the wind, we did have a wind event last year that took it down, and when it went down, they just went and cleaned it up and moved it and didn't put it back up again. So,
There is, on the east side of the center there's a lot of, there's fiber that runs through there, there's power that runs through there, there's water that runs through there. When you get to the west side, there are less utilities. So if we're anchoring anything, minimally invasive and one call for sure. Because there's a lot of like the fiber power, isn't really deep. Some of it may only be 16, 18 inches deep, so.
So the west side of the,
West side there's less utilities there. Nobody wants to pay for resplicing fiber, trust me.
Well, that's what one call is for. so
Yeah.
Yep.
We would just
Yes.
use them. I'm excited about this. It's been a big deal to me since I was a little kid, so let's see if we can make this happen, and that's my thought.
Yeah, I think if we get in a spot that, where they can do it from driving on the concrete, working with Lucas on that particular location and in one call, that's not a problem. I mean, everyone has their personal preferences of what's their favorite taste. And I imagine you get to hear lots of those opinions when it comes to decorating. So, You
Her
know,
especially.
yeah. But for what it's worth, I've always thought, you know, it's really cool, like at the Capitol in Washington DC when they have their big lighting of the Christmas tree, that a natural tree that has that look during the day. Obviously, I don't think we really, I mean, we kind of got one back there that,
We have
but it's
a
low.
nice pine tree out back on this corner.
And
It's
so-
right by power too.
That's more of a future year thought, you know, those are just
We can
ideas.
still do that
I mean,
one this
we
year.
still could do it
Yeah.
if someone has the initiative and drive to do it. That would be really cool too. In addition, since
Yeah.
you already got this plan
Do you
going.
have
I'm
the
not-
support to do that?
We would need to get volunteers. We could probably coordinate with the Fraternal Order of Police. We do still have additional white strands of lights that they donated to us to put on the light poles that we no longer need to use. So if that is an option where you want to add that, in addition, I could see if they would be willing to coordinate wrapping that tree.
That'd be pretty cool, I think. And then, yeah, and I have no problem with this, with the metal tree. I mean, it is true during the day, it doesn't look nearly as cool as it looks at night. But it really at night, that looks awesome, so. And hopefully no winds.
Well, we would like to have a warm holiday stroll. I was kind of spoiled by my first two were very warm, and then this last one was very frigid. But yes, and we would like, you know, I know there's lots of plans for the courthouse lawn and that lots of people are talking and all of that. And I hope that as we move forward that we're able to really showcase our courthouse, and I know you want that too, during the holidays. And I know, you know, can't put the cart before the horse. There's other things that have to be taken care of. But we do appreciate your willingness to talk to us about this and seeing that this is, you know, it may seem like, you know, we're talking about lights and a tree, but it is important. And it matters to the impact. And it also, it adds beauty to the courthouse lawn.
And then one thought next year is, does anyone know what the schedule is for the Main Street project? That we might be even looking next year looking on the south side. I mean, those are just some thoughts to have prepared in our minds for next year.
So my understanding, I do sit on the committees that are talking about the reconstruction of East Main moving to West Main. I don't believe it's going to happen next year. I believe it will probably, the earliest it would go out to bid is probably in 2024 because we're only at the 30% mark. So I don't believe at this time that it will start until 2025.
Okay.
That's my feeling of it.
Well, then that year, we might have to worry about it.
So do we have your permission to move forward, and can we connect, because we're kind of middle people at this point, we are not construction people, we do not, do we have your permission to connect Jeremy with Lucas and they can work out the details? Of course, we'll support along the way, but, I mean,
It's always easier
it's
when
always
it's direct.
just direct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
and then,
that's fine. Jeremy should have my contact, and yeah, I'll get with him and we can work out specifics.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for this, or is this
I don't think
just-
so. Then you guys can complete the appropriate paperwork
Correct.
to get it then to the board officially so that it can be approved.
Okay,
I do have one holiday stroll question. Are you
Yes.
gonna use the band shell?
No.
No.
Okay, all right. Then it's going to storage.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much.
While we're on the subject,
Yes.
we have, in the past, I remember that we have put a single candle in each window of the north side of the courthouse.
Not since I've been here.
No, it's been years ago.
9 years.
Yeah, it's been years ago, but
They're not in storage somewhere.
No. No, we do not have the
okay.
candles.
And there's no interest in doing that then? Is that what I'm hearing?
You wanna buy a bunch of battery powered candles?
No, not battery powered, no. Okay, bad idea.
real fire.
Well,
No, no.
Another disaster.
it's not a bad idea, but with the shades the way they are now, everybody'd have to roll their shades up. They'd have to remember to turn them on at night, turn them off in the morning.
Okay,
And extension cords all over is not really scary.
I think that one year we did, with the lights on the second floor and had on the windows Noel and Joy.
Yes, we put words up on the windows and spelled things. So an option, if you,
Lucas, we'd like to decorate for Christmas.
Yeah, everybody wants to decorate for Christmas. Typically, what we do, so we have some garland that goes around the front pillars. We have a large wreath that we can put in front, and then we have garland that kind of goes down the main staircase from third floor to second floor and a little bit down to first floor. That's been kind of the extent of my decorating, but if you guys want to do more, and I will say, you guys want to do more, let me know what you want to do. Otherwise, you get a lot of ideas from a lot of different people.
Then we gotta hone them in.
there's also a 6-hour timed option, is what I'm being told, that you can start them and then they're just on for 6 hours.
Yeah.
So there's different technology than probably the last time we did it.
So we obviously would love it if the courthouse was decorated. What you're doing now, we really appreciate, but we would love it if there was an option to put more on there. I mean, we've come through the tornado, we've all been living in kind of apathy in the downtown for quite some time. And those little things are big things when they're collectively put together. They really do matter. They really do matter. So I know it's a resource issue, as far as personnel time, purchasing items if you wanted to do more and all of that. But it really does matter when we're fighting apathy in our community. All of those little things that elevate the aesthetics. People want to be in nice places. They want to be in places where they feel warm and welcomed, and that extra effort is there. They want to be in those places. So we got the fence down. We done some great work. The courthouse looks beautiful. We don't get to spend your money, but we would love it if you would do more.
If it is a resource issue and you do need help with decorating things, time dependent, we could probably rustle up some volunteers to help you from the MCBA.
Yeah, there's lots of people around here that would love to help decorate.
I can tell you're warming up to the idea, Lucas.
I don't mind decorating. I just think there's a fine line between too much and tasteful.
I think everyone agrees with that,
See
it's
my
just from
house,
different
it is
scales.
very
Yeah.
So,
Awesome, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That might have been the most fun agenda item we've done all year.
we'll come back then.
All right, on to more fun things. Number 9, damage release. Black Hills Energy regarding Canfield Avenue Pipeline Project. It's the release of agreement from Black Hills Energy to compensate us for damages to Canfield Avenue from a pipeline project and authorize the chair to sign. Mr. Geilenfeld.
Paul Geilenfeld, county engineer. This is it's been it was a long ongoing project up on Canfield for Black Hills Energy. And this is a small section of the northern part of the job where we had the pipeline project in this portion was in public right of way. On a lot of this job on Canfield, they were on private easements, so they were actually putting the facility on private property with an easement, outside of the road right of way. So we didn't really have any issues with any road damage in those places. But in this spot, they were trenched in, and on the map, do you guys have the attachment handy? On the map, it kind of shows a parcel. That quarter mile is where we're going to be doing basically repairing the east foreslope and ditch. The road kind of got mashed down a little bit and spread out, and we've kind of got the grade back as far as the road where it needs to be, but the ditch, there needs to be some of the fill removed that the excavation process left in the ditch. The ditch isn't quite deep enough, isn't wide enough. We want to make sure that the water that's in that ditch on the east side stays in the ditch and doesn't go out into that landowner's pasture. We did have that happen during the project, and to to my knowledge, Black Hills Energy has made things right with that landowner. I have not had any more contact with the landowner that things were not made right.
Who's the landowner here?
John Honstein. The, so I think everything is okay there, but we do have, you know, I was trying to get the contractor to do these things, but the repairs that I itemized on the second page. And I just, in talking with Brad, our maintenance superintendent, we think 3 days with excavator and a skid loader and 3 tandem axle trucks will get us what we need to do. It's basically gonna be just removing some material out of the ditch and shaping up that ditch bottom, and then we're gonna put erosion control mat down in the bottom. Just in that, basically it's just in that quarter mile. And this is our actual cost. That's rental rates on the equipment that we get from the DOT, and that is operators with fringe benefits included in those rates and Black Hills Energy is okay with the estimate. They just want to be released from claims for damages in this 2100 mile, which would be from 220th, which is that T intersection to the south, up to the intersection to the north. Their project ended, can you see the little parcel about, I don't know, third of a mile south of Main Street Road on the east side? That's where their interconnect to the main is at. And so that was that was the north end of their project. And I'm confident if we release them from this portion of liability that we're okay to get paid for the damages that we're gonna correct.
Paul, I remember driving this area with you, and was this the worst of the area that?
It was the worst because it was work they were doing, you know, it was work that got into December, and it got, if you remember, it got wet in December, and there were times where I got real assertive with Black Hills Energy because there were nights that Honsteins could not have gotten an ambulance to their house, and that's unacceptable on any kind of a job. And they did bring rock in. They found haulers. I don't know exactly where wherever they could find them, but a lot of it had to do with the contractors that they had because they weren't used to this part of the country. They're guys from Louisiana were here, and they weren't used to how cold it got, even though it didn't get that cold right off the bat, you know. And at any rate, they weren't used to working in this neighborhood. At any rate, this is just a release for that section. This job goes down into the 2200 mile, the 2300 mile of Canfield, but a lot of that work is on private easement, so the impacts to road right-of-way and road resources are a lot less likely. But I'm not releasing them from damages for anything other than this roughly 0.6 of a mile of Canfield.
And you think this fixes the problem?
Yeah, as far as what's left out there, it's erosion. If you look on there where Honstein's driveway is at, from there to the creek, there was some sediment that washed down from the hill from the north, and we're gonna clean that out and just reshape that section of the ditch too.
You're comfortable with that estimate amount?
Yes, there was no back and forth. We estimated what it would take to make it happen, and they just said, okay.
And how soon would you begin the work?
We can probably get this done in the next month, but I would think it's gonna kinda depend on weather. Try to move dirt, and then if it actually does rain in this county at some point, it may make it harder to move the dirt, but we're not building anything, we're just excavating, but we still have to be able to get the skid loader and down there and shape things up and make things look nice, so. The payment isn't dependent on it being done. This is, they're gonna pay for this, and if we do the work and it takes us 6 hours less to do it, we still got paid. Also, if it takes us 6 hours longer to do it, we still got paid.
Any other questions? Thank you, Paul. I'll entertain motions to approve the damage release agreement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the damage release agreement from Black Hills Energy to compensate us for damages to Canfield Avenue from a pipeline project, and authorize the chair to sign in the amount of $20,429.80.
I'll second.
So we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Solosek,
Yes.
Heil,
Yes.
Paul, what runs through that pipeline?
Natural gas.
Natural gas.
Natural gas reclaimed from Marshall Ridge Dairy.
Oh, yes.
Excellent. All right. On to number 10, the federal aid agreement for project BROS C 064143 8J64.
And this is just the funding agreement for our Bridge D16 that we're currently having designed, and the will be let this winter. This is just east of Durham, 2.5 miles north of Clemens. If you're familiar with where things are at, it's a very old structure. You can even see from that picture that north rail is partially gone and the south rail is partially gone. It just kind of fell off into the creek. But we've got all our money out of that bridge, and we need to get it replaced. This is just the funding agreement that says that we get the HBP funds to pay for the bridge. It also states that we front end this, so we pay the entire cost out of our budget, but then we request reimbursement. It tends to kind of mess with local budgets, and Dan can attest that I've messed up the construction budget. But the thing is, it's all, our budget ends on, June 30th. Bridge projects never end on June 30th, and we don't know when we let it, if it's gonna be half built before June 30th, or, completely built after June 30th. So trying to figure out what fiscal year that expenditure goes in is pure guesswork.
And what is your timeline for this project?
It'll be next summer.
Next summer?
Any other questions, comments? All right, I'll entertain motions to approve the federal aid agreement.
I'd make a motion then to approve the federal aid agreement for project BROS C064 143 8J64. The funding agreement for the replacement of Bridge D16 located on 140th Street over Minerva Creek.
I'll second that.
All right, we have the motion and the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Solosek,
Yes.
Heil.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Number 11, 28E Cooperative Agreement regarding use of the administrative building at the Central Iowa Fair.
Good morning. My name's Emily Herring, Director for Conservation. So the fair and Marshall County Conservation have been having a cooperative agreement for about 50 years. We've just never had the formal agreement. And so we just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same agreement on whose responsibility was what in case of there's any disasters or anything like that. We work great with the Fair Board, and we've had a wonderful working relationship with them. So this just more or less outlines what we've been doing for the last couple of decades, so.
Do you have somebody permanently in that building?
They do not,
They don't, okay.
nope. They did have an administrative person, and I do not believe at this time they're gonna refill it, but they have board members that go in and answer the phone calls and are kind of doing that role. So they're still using the facility, but there's not someone there every single day. Even when they had their administration person, she was not there every single day either, so.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Emily. We'll entertain motions to approve the 28 cooperative agreement.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 28E cooperative agreement regarding the use of the administration building at the Central Iowa Fair between Marshall County Conservation Board and the Central Iowa Fair Board, beginning June 1st, 2023. And I assume that's backdated?
Must be.
Yes. And through the term of the agreement, and authorize the chair to sign.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Slosik,
Yes.
Heil,
Yes. All right, number 12, courthouse change order number 10. This in regards to a change order 10 in the amount of $28,681.63.
Lucas Badke, Buildings and Grounds. This is just a kind of a mess up on my part. When we approved the last change order requests, I didn't have in the motion to have the chairman to sign the actual change order. So that's what this is.
So the power of the pen for me is in this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Lucas. Will entertain motions?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the board chair to sign Bryholt's change order 10 in the amount of $28,681.63.
I'll second that.
Motion the second. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes?
Slosik,
Yes.
Heil.
Yes. Number 13, 2024 calendar, consideration of the non-union floater. And file this receipt with the auditor recorder's 2024 calendar. The suggested date is to have December 24, 2024 as the floater. Seems to make sense on the calendar. Any other thoughts on that?
It's just weird we're doing the 2024 calendar. Time is flying.
Yes, it is. Any other suggested dates? Oh, we have,
Paul Geilenfeld, county engineer. I love Christmas too, but July 5th is a Friday, and so you would have a 4-day weekend with July 5th, and the 24th of December, I think, is a Tuesday. So it doesn't really do anything but make everybody want to take vacation on the 23rd. I'm biased because more than likely I'll have to work either one of those holidays, so it's, but won't probably have to work July 4th or,
Yeah.
anyway, just, I just saw it on the calendar that it makes more of a weekend.
okay.
And who presented this recommendation?
This came from the accounting department. So the one good thing I see on July 5th is that it's not a payroll week because that is not a federal holiday. So that always causes problems when it's a 3-day work week and they're trying to get payroll out the door. So I don't see that as a consideration on the 27th. That is a payroll week. So the little green Friday boxes are the biweekly payrolls when you look at the calendar that they added in. Jeannie's just messaging me, and she said she's just following the historic pattern and that we usually did do the Christmas Eve, but, it's up to you all, and that's a good suggestion too, the way it falls.
What are the hours of the county offices on Christmas Eve?
It-
Normal?
It'd be till 4:30. Now, we could do something different than that too. We could do an earlier close.
I honestly, myself, does not matter one way or another, but as a person who has children, they don't have school during that time period, and so parents would be scrambling to find sitters if we don't take the 24th off. So I can honestly see a benefit both ways. I love a longer weekend, like the best of them, and I don't know how many people in our organization have lots of, elementary age kids, but as a parent who does, I know that I'm gonna have to take that day off anyways because my children don't have school. So, Just another thought, sorry.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you.
No, thank you for the feedback.
Well, and we can always do something where we close at 1 that day as well, you know, where we'd be open 8 to 1 for the offices that need to, and then close, because I know there are, you know, I don't know if we're supposed to say church in here, but there are church services that are earlier afternoon.
We can say church.
It's just accommodating folks, and, you know, we don't want to be Scrooge either. So I do see where Paul's, you know. You know what's really bad is I'm worse than Lucas, and he's really taken the brunt of it for Christmas. So it's up to you to set the calendar, you know, the floater holiday, we do need that added in, and then we can do whatever we want for Christmas Eve. And obviously, that's a long ways down the road, really. It's more than a year away.
And this year's calendar is,
I figured that. I was just thinking the same thing. It's like, when is it? 24th is Sunday. Christmas is on a Monday this year. So it's not an issue. July 5th was the floater for this year, for 2023. Just so you know, Jeannie's feeding me all the information. I'm just,
thank you, Jeannie.
I am just regurgitating.
Any opinions? Thoughts?
We had talked about my birthday. So,
Well, is that gonna be a national holiday in 2024?
possibly.
Well, if it
It's
is,
still
then
in-
maybe it just
still in
works
the air.
itself in.
Okay, maybe it will. I'm completely open on this,
Yeah.
whatever works for
I'm
everyone.
not opposed to July 5th and then having the offices close early on Christmas Eve.
I like the sound of that. That's what I've been used to all my working years.
I think that seems like a nice option. It is, no one wants to come to work on a Friday, July 5th either. I agree, that's a good date as well, so yeah.
And I think in the past, if there wasn't one of those where the July 5th worked into a weekend and the 24th was midweek, we always
Yeah,
chose Christmas Eve in that instance.
I'll say, in my opinion, July 5th is nice because Marshalltown always does their fireworks on the 4th, and, you know, having the day following that off is nice.
So do we need to set the time for the hours if we
We-
close the office early now, or can we do that in the future?
we can do it either way. We can do it now, or we can do it in the future.
I mean, is it something we could say a half-day?
Yeah, absolutely. We could close at noon easily on that day, have a 4-hour, half-day workday. And then you're on 8 hours by then for roads, right? So you're on, yeah, we could say half-day easy then.
Is that a motion, Carol?
I will make the motion that we approve the non-union floater day for Friday, July 5th, and also set the office hours for Christmas, Christmas Eve Day, December 24th, 2024, at 1/2 day.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Just a quick clarification then, if someone wanted to take that day off, then they only have to use a half day of
They
vacation.
take a half day.
Half a day.
Correct. All right, roll call vote, please.
Hibbs,
Yes.
Solosik,
Yes.
Heil.
Yes. On to number 14, public forum, time set aside for the public to make comments on topics of county business other than those listed on the agenda. No action will be taken on any of these topics brought up in public forum. Public comment, anyone? Is anyone on Zoom, James? Okay. Oh, yes.
Look at these lovely chairs. I have lots of these. And I don't know what to do with them. Currently, they are in a pile in my shop. We used to have them in the old boardroom. Instead of these, we would basically have old wooden chairs. I have the quotes for the smaller chairs from 1927. They cost us about $1.58 a piece.
God.
That's amazing.
And I would like to have some discussion for maybe a future agenda item on how we proceed with the future.
Of the chairs?
Yeah, the chairs. Yeah, yeah. We don't need to solve the world's problems yet, but we'll get there, I'm sure. Jarrett and I talked a little bit about this. We actually talked about it a few times. And I think I have a few different ideas. First one would be we could sell them. We could put them on Gov Deals. We could donate them, or we could do some sort of fundraiser even. I don't know.
Have you had anyone express interest in them?
I haven't given anyone an option to express interest. You can see we have kind of two different qualities here. The smaller chair, I don't think are near as important or neat looking, ornate, all that. But they are historic. They're old. They've been in the courthouse their entire lives.
What year are those? 19, would you say?
27,
Yeah.
and my guess is that one's older. I found the quote for it for the smaller ones. I didn't find for the larger ones. My guess is they're probably older than 27. So there's a lot of historic value there, and depending on your opinion, that holds weight or not. I do like to say old doesn't necessarily mean historic. But I have an emotional attachment to the building and things that are old in it. You know, we have other chairs that are original that have been restored to an extent, and they are, you know, not on the chopping block, but maybe some of these things are.
On Lucas's chopping block?
Well, they at least need to get out of my shop.
Yeah.
Well, they take up a lot of space and they're not doing anything
Yeah.
useful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they're literally just, they're stacked up 8 feet
Yeah.
tall, 8 feet tall. I mean, and they're 10 feet wide. It's just, there's a lot of chairs.
Mm.
So, I guess basically it's a discussion. Those are kind of the thoughts that I came up with, and I was gonna see if you guys had any thoughts yourself to add to maybe options.
I'd be curious to know what the public thinks on this, and I think, you know, with the newspaper here today, this might get some coverage that we might hear from the public on thoughts on the chairs. We could put it on our county Facebook page as well, just to see, I mean, because if we're having a hard time determining what real purpose they can be for us, you know, this is the people's house, the people's chairs, and
Exactly.
see if there's some ideas out there that can help us proceed
Other
forward
ideas,
with.
yeah.
I mean, we paid $38 for 24 of them. I mean, we're out a lot of money here.
So, but yeah, I think that's probably the best way to start is having some attention to them and,
I think, yeah, I think that's great. If Robert can maybe do us a favor there and,
How many chairs are there?
I don't know, plenty. Let's say there are 40 of a mixed bag. They're not all just like that. Some of them are like a 50s vintage that I care a lot less about. So, there's my spiel.
Thanks,
Oh,
Lucas.
we have a,
Alicia Fitzgerald staging to sell it on this matter of the chairs. With a design background, I have a couple of ideas that might actually pique people's interest. If you do think about doing them as an auction item for a fundraiser, putting some sort of plaque underneath or on the back numbering them would tend to add value along with the date and where they were used. That might elevate the value of the chairs. The other option would be is if you ask the Historical Society if they have any use for them, either in the Binford House or the schoolhouse or the museum, they might also take an interest in the chairs. that's just a designer's opinion on the
Thank you.
chairs.
Thank you very much. Maybe a plaque with Steve's name on a couple of them in
Like
there.
that.
Add value to it, right?
That's right.
When is your birthday?
Yeah, November 15th.
Oh,
coming up.
Coming up.
If you want
We
to
have a
write
meet-
that
we have a
Yeah,
down.
meeting that day?
I'll write that down.
Any other public comment today?
Nan Benson, auditor recorder, wanted to share we've got the upcoming city school election November 7th. We will be running that for absentee voting out of the election center, so old fire station. I think it will be forever known, the old fire station. But we'll be running it out of there for any absentee voting. Ballots will be ready, so voting will begin October 18th, which is a week and a day away. So the other thing is just kind of, I'm going to say countywide thing is United Way. I'm on the United Way board, and we'll be sharing out packets to our employees here at Marshall County in the next week or so.
Great. Question on the election, besides just your normal city school election of officers, you could say, what other things are on the ballot?
There's some, City of State Center has a bond referendum for a fire station. So there's that, there's,
Is there any
there's,
others beyond that, or is that the only?
there's some for some of what I'm gonna call the outlying school districts that aren't 100%. We've got some, I think, a BCL and an Eldor, New Providence, possibly some bond
Okay,
type questions on for that, so.
excellent. Thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah, so it's, that we only have 40 ballot styles this year. 2 years ago, we had 52-ish. And that helped with our consolidation of our polling locations. Actually made less ballot styles, which it's still a bad number, but it's a big, easy, very important to hand out the correct ballot styles, so.
Anything else today? Hearing none, the next regular session is Wednesday, October 25th, 2023, 9 a.m. here at the courthouse, first floor meeting room, 1 East Main Street. All business to be acted upon at that session should be submitted to the County Auditor Recorder's Office or Board of Supervisors Office by Wednesday, October 15th, 2023 at noon. There being no further business to come before the board, this meeting is adjourned at 10:13 a.m. Have a great day, everybody.